Which would you prefer today?
Well, you used to call me Michal. When we served on the PCSP together, I was an independent member. Yeah, just call me Michal.
Michal, no problem. Well, thank you very much for taking part in this podcast. I know this is an extremely busy day for you after the end of an extremely busy year. Can I ask you, I know you've been asked recently this question, but can I ask, what's been the highlights of your year?
Yeah, there are so many, and so this is actually my last engagement as Lord Mayor. Is this podcast? So it could become a better time. There are so many things that I've loved about this job, and so many highlights. There's probably been at least one highlight a week. I think the most recent one is the unveiling of the LGBT window downstairs, right in the lobby of City Hall.
It's class.
Yeah.
And that was a long process.
Yes. So that was put forward by your very self.
Way back then.
Yeah, 2017.
2017, seconded by your colleague William McAllister.
Yeah. So 2017, and when I came in and office, I'd say, I'd really like this to actually take place during my year, be part of my year. And I'm just so thankful that we were able to pull it off, because things don't always move that quickly.
So tell me the process from when you've been involved in it, because a lot of people have been asking us, how did it come about?
Yeah. So obviously with your notice of motion in 2017, it then goes through the process of having to be voted on, having to be costed, and then it goes to the City Hall Installations Working Group, who have been looking at that one and another window, and various things that we do around City Hall. So this is the working group made up of councillors who discuss what happens on the lawn of City Hall, what happens in City Hall itself, and what that process looks like and what it is. And they put recommendations then to the committee, which is where other councillors sit on, and then we get it signed off. And so it's been going through the working group, the City Hall Installations Working Group, for a while. And just this year, I said, I'd really love this to be part of my year. I think having the first openly LGBT Lord Mayor and unveiling our LGBT stained glass window would just be perfect, and to be able to do it at the same time. So we had a couple of drafts gone through the working group, and you sort of kindly came on board on the working group and gave us some advice and talked about what could be in it, what probably shouldn't be represented, and the angles that we need to take. And between us we were able to come to an agreement. A very quick agreement, I must say. In the history of Belfast City Council, there are very few other agreements that have been made in such a quick time.
I know the end process kind of was that quickness,
Yeah.
but as I said, it was that kind of from 2017. I know the parts that I played in it, like I would have contacted the Fearless Chief Executive since then, party group leaders, and asked them just to keep it kind of there on the circle, as you know yourself. Even the 8 years isn't too long to put up a stained glass window in here. I personally, I think it's an amazing achievement. I love the fact that you've done it. I love the fact that you unveiled it, because for us, that is your year is historic for us as a community, for the LGBTQIA plus community, and it's very apt that it was yourself that unveiled it. So our project has been delighted, and we have to thank you, Michal, for all of your support this year, because you have not refused us one request anytime we've contacted you. And we've really appreciated your support this year, and we hope it continues when you step back down as councillor. You talked about the working group, and I think it's very important to mention the working group, because you're not the only out councillor in the council at this time, which is brilliant to see, and some of those other councillors were also part of this process.
Yes, so we have 3 or 4 openly LGBT councillors on Belfast City Council, and we work fairly well together, especially on issues like this, where we would all sort of have the same the same opinions, the same mindsets of why decisions are made certain ways, why certain people are involved and why certain people aren't involved, and the various things that we would like to have seen in the window. We're fairly on the same wavelength when it comes to it. And those councillors also sit on the installations working group. Although any councillor can sit on a working group, so I think especially when we've been talking about this window, the other out councillors definitely would have been involved in that conversation, even if they weren't on the working group.
Yeah, I think it's very important, because it's important that the window represents as much of our community as possible.
Yeah.
I remember when the motion first passed, there was a suggestion from a councillor of three men being on it, and I kind of went, no, it's male, pale and steel, and that's not really, doesn't really give the vibrancy, the diversity of our community. Now I know they are represented in the window, but that is the kind of main parts of the window, and I think the way the window, I love the fact that Tarek McNallis is one of the main figures in the window. I love the fact that Ellen Campbell is in the window also. Obviously, that the two of us are from North Belfast, but as was Tarek and Lyra, so I love that kind of local thing for me. And there were two amazing characters that I knew, and we're friends with both of them, so I have a real passion for that. But even every time I've looked at it, and because I wasn't well to open it and missed it, I've seen it firstly through the proper window, through photos, and even when we were down looking at it last week, picking out different things that I hadn't noticed from the photos. I think that I'll be continuing to do that for years to come.
Yeah, the artists have done a really amazing job, and even though, like yourself, like I was part of that conversation of what goes in and why and where it goes, and still now when I look at it, something pops out.
Yeah.
I'm like, that was really nice, and you sort of might trigger a memory of the conversation at the table around why we were putting it in, and it's just it brings up all these memories, just really lovely to see. And there are so many representations in it, right from like the marriage equality dates to civil partnership, and we have something really amazing to be proud of in Northern Ireland, that we were the very first place in the United Kingdom to have a civil partnership, and that was in Belfast City Hall. Like we need to be really proud of that.
I think the city has in recent times have really become more diversitised. This is a council building, it's the main council building that we all own because we're all ratepayers. And I love, as I said, of the fact of how the foundations in here have changed and how the council's made up has changed. And I think that if you're a young person or an older person looking in, that you're now being reflected by the makeup of the councillors, by the makeup of the staff team, and that was something I thought was really class. And I want to commend you councillors for including the staff network, the staff pride network in it. I thought that was really important, and I've actually seen Dwayne talking on Twitter about, I suggested that bit, which he did. But it's that kind of sense of ownership, and I think that's important. I like to think that in times ahead, staff members will be walking by that window and giving it a wee smile and thinking, I belong here.
Yeah. Yes, and that was very important during the process, to make sure that our proud staff network of people working in City Council were part of that process. I think I mentioned them during my speech, and I think I also said something about, as elected members, it's our job to ensure that this building is reflective of the community that it serves, and I think that's really important that we do that, and we make this place as accessible and as inclusive as possible, not just for our staff members, but for everyone in the city, for people who come to visit the city. And this building is such a tourist attraction, but also it's where you come to register births, deaths, to get married, to meet your elected members. It has a story to tell about the people that live here, about the political makeup of the city, and the representation that we want from the city.
Yeah, I think it's important. Me hope, can I pull you back to some of the others highlights I think of your year?
Yes.
Things that I kind of love, and I've said it a few times, I actually love the photo of you putting the flag on the top of City Hall.
Yeah.
And again, that was a motion I love too.
You're the trailblazer.
And now you are, you know, but it's mad to think, you know, what other kind of ceiling do we have to break within City Hall?
Yeah.
You know, within this council. But I think that was an iconic image, and again, coming down Royal Avenue and you seeing the progress flag on top of City Hall, it is it's a very emotive thing, given that it wasn't that long ago that when we passed City Hall we were drowned out almost by protesters, and these days we're there, we're loud and we're proud, but it's just that whole thing about, you know, being recognised by the main civic building in the city.
Yeah.
You were also over in Stonewall, the bar. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I've had some really significant moments throughout my year that have been all sort of LGBT related. So my very first day in office, I became Lord Mayor at like 7 o'clock on the Monday night, and 7 o'clock on the Tuesday morning I was in Dublin Airport, ready to board a plane to go to New York for a conference called New York New Belfast, which we bring businesses from Belfast out. We meet with investors and different business leaders and political leaders out in the States. So that was one of my very first engagements, was that. But when we got there, I had a full, pretty much half a day free on the Tuesday, and I'd asked them, could we do some visits to LGBT projects? So we went to the LGBT Centre, we met with the LGBT History Museum team who are building their sort of LGBT History Museum now. We went for a walk about Stonewall Monument, and we met with one of the rangers there to tell us about the monument. And then they said, oh, we have some people in the Stonewall Inn who want to meet you. And everyone that's listening to this podcast should know about the Stonewall Inn and the Stonewall riots, which is sort of widely known as the birthplace of the modern Pride movement. And so I went in, and the bar was packed out, and there was councillors there was the Speaker of the Assembly, former speakers, there was the New York State Controller, there was heads of organisations, there was like the people in that room. I always say, if you bombed the Stonewall in that day, you could have pushed equality back a good couple of years. But there was some really amazing people in that room, and that wasn't because of me, it was because of what I represent by being the first openly LGBT Lord Mayor of Belfast. There's obviously those strong Irish America links, and then the historic moment of what the Stonewall Inn represents as well. And so my first official speech as Lord Mayor was given in the Stonewall Inn. Amazing. Yeah.
Class. And one of the things I loved about coming into the parlour was the amount of stories on your walls.
Yeah, so I'm not the most creative person. And one of the jobs of the Lord Mayor...
Oh my God, are you sure you're a gay girl?
I know, but one of the jobs of the Lord Mayor is to decorate the Lord Mayor's parlour. And I'm sort of thinking, how am I going to do this? I've been in a couple of times, and before, Lord Mayors have had like different pieces of art up, and maybe the frames have been different sizes and stuff, which isn't the vocal point, but for me it was really off-putting. So I thought, what am I going to do? And then people just keep handing you things as Lord Mayor. People just keep giving you things to represent their organisations, or maybe they're coming to Belfast as visitors and they're coming in to see the Lord Mayor, and they maybe bring like a flag from their university or whatever it is. So I thought, right, I'll just put it up on a board. So I got a cork board and just sort of pinned everything to the corkboard and put it up. And it actually looked really well. And then people kept commenting on it and kept saying how good it was. So I got 7 more. And actually, what a lot of people didn't notice was that they were the colours of the rainbow flag. So the rainbow flag was wrapped around the room, and then there was obviously the rainbow flag right on top of the mantelpiece as well. So when you walked in, it was the focal point of the room. But I just kept on pinning things up to corkboards, and then everything had a story. So yeah.
Class. And just see that you're talking about the progress flag that was above the mantelpiece. You done something a wee bit special throughout the year, didn't you? A wee bit less public in relation to the flag.
Oh, did I? Have I forgotten?
How many people who were married got their photo taken?
Oh, yes. So obviously people come to the City Hall to get married, and I have the pride flag right up, pride placed in this room. And when I was down, usually there's a lot of photographers who regularly do weddings in City Hall. So some of them would come up to me and say, oh, I've got like a same-sex wedding in on Thursday, are you about? And we'd always try to make it work so that we would offer them to come up to the parlour and get their photo taken under the flag in City Hall. And this is what, again, why the window is so important and the timing is so perfect. I was talking to one of the photographers recently, and they said, like, it's sad that you're leaving because we can't do that anymore. But that window is now there, and every same-sex couple that comes into this building that wants to get married, or every queer couple who comes into this building is getting married, that's a space they can go to for pictures of their wedding and say, like, oh, we're part of this city.
Yeah, I think that's the iconic thing about the window.
Yeah.
And I can just imagine how pleased people must have been, to be invited inside what was normally a very private place, not accessible to a lot of people. You think back, we talked a few minutes ago about the first civic partnerships that were held in the building, marriage equality coming in. It wasn't that long ago, our community weren't allowed to get married, and here people are getting married and being brought into the Lord Mayor's parlour.
Yeah.
It's a lovely thing.
Yeah, obviously you can only get into the Lord Mayor's parlour via invitation from the Lord Mayor. But I just thought it was really important. I thought it was important to make sure that I had people in who wouldn't normally have been here.
Mm-hmm.
So the amount of people I've had in the parlour who have said, I've never actually been in City Hall, never mind the Lord Mayor's parlour. Mm-hmm. It's just incredible. So I tried to get as much of a range of people in as possible who normally political spaces wouldn't be the spaces they would be in.
Thank you for using the term space, because it brings to mind your speech from last week. And you used what I think is an iconic line in it. And I'm going to not remember all of it, so I hope that you can remember your speech.
Okay.
And you talked about one of the things about the window for you is it represents us in places and spaces that weren't really made for us. I'm paraphrasing you. Can you remember the correct term? Because I think it's quite a...
Yeah, so it pretty much is that. I think I said something about how it's us taking up space in places that were never created for us to take up space in.
Well, you know what, Micheál? I want to say a big Gormila Margaret for your year, and best wishes for the year ahead.
Thank you.
And you have really broke that mold where we are now in places and spaces that weren't made for us.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Thank you. But before we finish...
So can I ask you one last question?
Yeah.
What's next? Are you looking to go to higher political office, or what are you looking to do next?
You can never say never in politics. I absolutely love council. I love local government. I think it's the most important level of government that we have, because it is so local, and you're there representing your community, and you can see delivery, and you can really be part of that, be a part of that agenda setting. At the moment, I don't think I don't think I would want to go to the assembly. But someone told me that you can't plan in politics. You know, you need to, when the opportunity comes up, you then need to think about it there and then. Do I want this or do I not? Because a lot of the time the opportunity will only ever come up once. So I'm not going to say no. I'm not going to say I'm never going to go to the assembly or anywhere else. But for now, I love representing Balmoral. I have my own wee DEA and being in Belfast City Council. I think a lot of the work that we do as a council is really important, really good. Not everyone always sees it, that it's us doing it. We might be partnered with an organisation to do the delivery, but a lot of stuff we do is just great, and I absolutely love being here.
Brilliant.
Yeah. But before we finish, you mentioned about how this place has changed over the years, and to think, like 15 years ago, to think we'd be sitting here as a former Deputy Lord Mayor of Belfast, about to be former Lord Mayor of Belfast, two queer people, like, it's just...
I mean, I came in November 2010, so it's literally coming up to 15 years, and I was the first openly out councillor here in Belfast. People come after us, and it's something I'm so proud of, that every election our city elects at least 3 or 4 openly LGBTQIA plus councillors.
Yeah.
And we don't get elected just because we're queer.
No.
We deliver. We do all of those other things.
Yeah.
But it's important for our community that we're here.
Yes.
Because if you can't see yourself, what is it? If I can't see me, how do I be me?
Yeah.
So the visibility is really important. Especially at this time, I sent our picture, the picture we took downstairs last week, to a friend of mine in America, who is actually, he helped found the LGBT History Month. He was the first person who done it all in Wilson.
Wow.
And he called the window an inspiration and said at this moment in time he needed a wee bit of inspiration because of all of the stuff that's happening in America.
Yeah.
And it's mad to think that we are now inspiring other people across the world.
Yeah.
Thanks to yourself.
Thanks to
Thanks
you.
to the amazing year.
Thank you.